What up, what up, what up, what up, Capital? What's up? How y'all doing tonight? Woo, can you say wrecked? Man, that song get me every time, bro. Woo. Hey, I gotta. All right, so let me just start off in prayer, obviously. Just thank God for everyone that's here tonight. Heavenly Father, I pray that any agenda that I have, you just remove it and let your word flow through this place, Heavenly Father. Any word that needs to be said, I pray that you use me as a vessel to say it. I pray, Heavenly Father, that you use my words to open the ears. I pray, Father, that we use our ears to open our hearts. And I pray, lastly, Lord, that you allow our hearts to cultivate change in our lives. And it's in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. Let me put on my glasses real quick. Eclipse. Shout out to the squad. All right. So, all right. Quiet down. Security, get them out of here. All right. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Trey. Hi. But beyond the surface level, let me give you a little background about me. So, I grew up in Georgia. Born and raised, Georgia boy. So that means I bleed red and black. Go Dogs. All right. Sorry, I pray for the Alabama fans at the end of the sermon. All right. I went to the University of Georgia. I played football at the University of Georgia. After college, I went and played football in NFL, played 6 years professionally, played for San Diego Chargers, played for Dallas Cowboys, played for Detroit Lions, played for Cleveland Browns. Journeyman all over. Ended up in Florida training, working out. Ran across this beautiful little Colombian thing by the name of Louisa. And changed my life. Retired. I was like, that's it, God. That's what you had for me. Take me now. So I love you, boo. After that, decided to want to come back to Georgia so I could finish up my degree. Spent 6 extra years in college just applying to medical school, taking everything that I had forgotten over the 6 to 10 years I was playing football. Applied to medical school and spent a lot of time and money on it and decided, you know what? It's not what I want to do with my life. So what I did was leave medical school, worked at Chick-fil-A, and that Lele, best chicken on the planet, and ended up at the Capitol drop pin, right there. So that's how I came here to be with you guys. So in saying all of that, yeah, I left medical school, so I'm a bit of a science nerd. I like that stuff. But before we get into that, little crowd participation, I want to know, what do you feel like are the most valuable things in this world? Popcorn, come on. What? God, material. God, not God, but human friends. Chick-fil-A, facts. What do we spend our most money on? Come on. Video game, shoes. All right. I hear you. So, I think there are 3 things that people outside of Christ place the most value on. The first one is water. I mean, think about it. We go, as a church, we go dig wells all over the world, right? It's a lot of places that don't have clean water, but we just turn on the faucet and it's there. A little note right here. The most expensive bottle of water you can buy, check this out. It's by a company called Vitality. It's called Gem Water. $120 a bottle. $120. I ain't about that life. I be dehydrated. I'm just saying. All right. On my list, The second thing, I'll say gold. I mean, people buy gold. You drive down anywhere and like buy gold here. The most expensive piece of gold is $24.4 million. And get this, it's a pocket watch. Facts, no cap. All right? Last thing that I feel like humans place the most value on are diamonds. No, nobody even said diamond. Y'all said shoes. Like, come on. Diamond. The most expensive diamond ever found was in South Africa, 1905. $2 billion. $2 billion. It's called, hold on, I got it in my notes. It's called the Cullinan diamond. They divided it into 9 separate pieces and sold it off. Estimated value, uncut, just diamond out of the ground. Boom, $2 billion. Holla at your boy. All right? Now you may be wondering, whoa, where's the through the fire? Anyway, so the topic of this message is through the fire. So you may be wondering, what does any of that have to do with water, gold, diamonds? I'm glad you asked. There are 3 things I'm going to talk about tonight. The first one is sometimes in life, things get steamy. Oh, I don't even have to say it. I'll let y'all take that over. All right. So when we say things get steamy, how does that look? So in the Bible, there's a man by the name of David, and we're going to talk about how things got steamy for him. If you already know the story, don't tell nobody. Just shh, let me get to the people who hear it the first time, all right? So in the book of 2 Samuel 11, 2 through 5, it says, one evening, David got up from his bed, walked around the roof of the palace, just strolling, just finished binging Netflix. It was like, let me get a break, rest the eyes. From the roof, he saw a woman bathing. Steamy. All right. The woman was very beautiful, obviously, because he stayed and watched, right? And David sent someone to find out about her. Who is that lady? The man said, she is Bathsheba. Hold on, side note. How many of you all who've heard this story ever wonder, like, he saw a lady taking a bath and her name just happened to be Bathsheba? You know, like, but whatever. I didn't write it. I ain't scripted, all right? The daughter of Eliam and the wife of Uriah, the Hittite. I don't know about you, but if I saw a man's wife bathing and his name was Uriah, I probably wouldn't roll up on her. He just sounds like super tough. I'm just saying. That's me. I don't know about you. That's just me. So who can agree that things were steamy outside of just like a bath? Because she may have been taking a cold shower. You never know. But who can agree that things got steamy for David? But hold on, though. Before you start to judge, how many times in our lives do things get steamy? Don't get quiet now. Really, how different does that look in your life? All right? So let me see. All right. Whoever got their head down right now playing Candy Crush, Bedazzled, go look up. I'm talking to you right now. All right? So you're in Capitol on a Wednesday night. High score. You working on it. And next thing you know, bing. What's this coming in on the ground? Ooh, I like that picture. I saw him on the last day of school. Swipe. Like that. Getting steamy at the Capitol. Or not even picking on ladies. Let's say you meet up with a group of your friends and like, hey, let's hit the mall. You get in the mall and instead of window shopping, you on the hunt. Walking with your homies. Yo, bro, you seen her? You already passed the store, but it was like, you don't even want nothing out of there, you know? Or rewind back to like finals weeks in school or wherever, before school starts, you're in the cafeteria waiting on the bell to ring for first period, and you find yourself like this, because all y'all have phones in the morning. You just like in your zone, listening to music, doing whatever, and you see someone walk by, and then it's like all of a sudden your neck turns to like instant rubber, and it's like you ain't worked out in 3 years, but you doing neck curls. You know what I mean? Like, is that not steamy? Just because you think no one sees it, is that not like steam in your life? So let's remember my first precious item. It was water. So what really gives water its value? Well, let me tell you. Does anyone know what this is? Water filtration. What is it? Oh, I heard it. Distillation. The process of distillation, the entire contraption is called a still, all right? So what happens with still? Through the fire, you get some dirty water over here, right? Some of the water we see across the world, like not clean drinking water. And you apply a little heat to that water. And when you apply heat to that water, guess what it does? It starts to steam, all right? Water evaporates. Once it gets to the top, it cools. It goes through all of this filters, and it comes out over here pure. You have drinking water. Like, I know you all don't pay power bills yet, but it costs a lot of money to heat some water, right? Whew. I know y'all taking up donations for like mission trips, but you want to get to the power bill at Trey House, holler at me after service. All right. Nah, it's solo. Not your turn. Just my bills. All right. So it takes a lot of investment. It takes a lot of heating. It takes a lot to go through purifying water, right? So bring it back to the story of David. He sleeps with this man's wife, and he's like, I done messed up now. She goes back to her house, and she finds out she's pregnant. So she sends word to David, and she's like, David, you my new baby daddy. And David is like the king, right? And the only reason he was at home was because, David was a warrior. He got tired of killing people, like, I'm going to sit this one out. Y'all got it. And so he's just lounging around the castle, sees a woman, sleeps with her, she gets pregnant. He's trying to figure out, how do I protect my identity? How do I protect my character? So what David does is he says, hey, I want you to go to the battlefield, send for Uriah, tell him to come home, holler at his boy, all right? So Uriah comes home, and David's like, what's up, Uriah? You're one of my favorite, you're my boys. What I want you to do, I know you've been out there fighting, I want you to come home, go kick it with your wife, and, do your thing. But Uriah, being on the purified side, he's like, David, come on, man. All my people out here sleeping on dirt. Why would I come home and sleep on a bed while the people that I fight life and death for are out there? I'm not going to do it. So David's like, all right, got to figure it out. How can I cover this up? How can I do this on my own? How can I do this in my own strength? He's like, oh, I got it. He don't want to sleep. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to send him back out. And I'm going to send him to the front line. And then when he's on the front line, I know he's going to get killed, because it's like, spear, he dead, all right? So I'm going to have him killed, make sure he's killed, and then as a sign of respect, I'm going to say, Uriah was one of my favorite. I'm going to make sure his family's taken care of. I'm going to marry his wife. And so it worked out just like that. He has him go out. He gets killed. He marries his wife. And then and she has the baby. And so, David was a king, so he has a lot of smart people around him, right? And so when Bathsheba has his baby, They're like, 5 carried to 2, square root of 3, raised to the third power. This ain't adding up, David. Y'all been together 5 months. And the baby's not preemie. I mean, it's not a premature baby. It's a healthy baby, you know. But how is she having this baby already? Y'all just got married. But just like you would do for your homeboys or your best friends, you cover it up. It's like, all right, whatever. He messed up. I mean, sweep it under the rug. How many of our lives look like the dirty water? And when the crap hits the fan and the heat is turning up and it's getting steamy, you try to separate, you try to purify yourselves on your own will. Whereas instead of listening to the still, quiet voice, you got that? Still, quiet voice of the Lord. So when the steam comes, you rise above the filth that's in your life, right? And you go through this transformation process through the filters of everything that you have to go through, and you come out purified on the other side. How many of us take that long road as opposed to trying to figure it out on our own strength? Point 2. I'm going to let that simmer a little bit, but we'll go on to point 2. Sometimes in life, you have to take some heat. All right? So what does that mean? I'll tell you a little story about myself and how that looked in my life. So rookie year in the NFL, I'm living it up. Party when I want to, did what I want to, ate when I want to, came home when I want to, stayed up watching TV when I want to. I ain't ashamed about it no more. Watched what I wanted to. And I was making more money than I knew what to do with. I was on top of the world. Everything was about me. I could get whatever I want at any time I want. I could go anywhere I wanted at any time I wanted. That sounds like the rock star life. That's what we see on TV, right? Of course, bought the jewelry, had everything I wanted. It was like, side note, I remember I had this like huge chain, right? And I went to go into this restaurant, and he was like, you know you can't wear that in here, right? I was like, but you know how much this costs? He was like, so? You still ain't wearing it in here. All right, back to what I was saying, just a side note. And I was one game away from a Super Bowl. One game away. I hate the Patriots. Back to what I was saying. End of season rolls around, and it's so coincidental that the end of football season is the beginning of another season called tax season, right? And so my knowledge about taxes up to this point was, oh, January is here. File my taxes. Return, right? Everybody's talking about tax return. There's commercials about it everywhere. So I hired my little CPA and was like, all right, how much am I going to get back? So what I didn't realize was in taxes, you need something called write-offs. You need some deductions. I didn't have any. I was just wilding. And at that point is when I realized taxes are serious, especially in the state of California, because to this day, that is the largest check I have ever written in my life. And I got a house and some cars. That is still, to this day, the largest check I have ever written in my life. So what does that mean? I was like, that's an interesting story, Trey, but I ain't filing no taxes yet. I'm like, what does that mean? That means my little nest egg I thought I had, after spending all that money on the crap I thought I needed, all the crap I thought I wanted, I was broke. I was. So the heat turned up in my life. I was like, whew. Man, it's hot out here. And it said it don't get hot in Southern California. Whew. So what did I do? How did I get out of that situation? All the fancy stuff I had, I sold. The apartment that I wanted up in the hills, had to end the lease early. All those fancy clothes and shoes and stuff, I sold. All the jewelry I thought was so dope, I sold. The only thing I was left with in the off season of my rookie season was a car and my clothes. What does that mean? I was broke and I was homeless. Like, what? How does that happen? You made all that money and you were homeless? And I don't know how many of you all play sports, but it's this thing like the dedicated guys, they're like the first ones there and they're the last one to leave. I was the first one there because I slept in the parking lot. I was the last one to leave because I was too embarrassed to let people see me walk into my car to go to sleep. So everything that I bought in like just vain conceit, ambition, he took it all away. He turned up the heat. Let me show you how turning up the heat looks with gold, the second item that I said. That's about 14,000 degrees Celsius. And to do my math right, that's about the temperature of hell. That's a clay pot full of molten gold. And this is what gold looks like when you heat it up. You turn up the heat in gold's life. Liquid. Give you $20 to drink it. You won't do it. That's the purification process of gold. This happened in the book of Daniel also. Had some heat turn up in some people's lives. Three people really. Shadrach, Meshach. Who? Abednego. Here we go. It happened in the book of Daniel, chapter 3. All right, bear with me. This is going to be long. Y'all ready? Let me stretch. King Nebuchadnezzar made an image of gold. I did that. 60 cubits high, 6 cubits wide, and set it up on the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. Then the herald loudly proclaimed, nations and peoples of every language, this is what you are commanded to do. As soon as you hear the sound of the horn, flute, zither, lyre, harp, pipe, and all kinds of music, you must fall down and worship the image of gold that King Nebuchadnezzar has set up. How much? Another side note, I do this a lot. I'm an ad-libber, so roll with it, please. How many things do we worship that's not in line with what this great book tells us to worship? But let's move on. Whoever does not fall down and worship will immediately be thrown into a blazing furnace. Someone say, turn up the heat. All right. Therefore, as soon as they heard the sound of the horn, flute, zither, lyre, harp, all kinds of music, the nations and peoples of every language fell down and worshiped the image of gold that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. What just happened? Hey. But there are some Jews whom you have set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, it's up here now you can cheat. Abednego, who pay no attention to you, your majesty. Somebody say hater. Say it one more time, hater. I don't hate because I don't do what you do and you ain't got what I got. They neither serve you, your gods, nor worship the image of gold you have set up. How many people you have in your life like that? Just like, you're like, move, all right? Then Nebuchadnezzar was furious with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and his attitude towards them changed. He ordered the furnace heated 7 times hotter than usual. Turn up the heat. And commanded some of the strongest soldiers in his army to tie up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and throw them into the blazing furnace. So these men, wearing their robes, trousers, turbans, and other clothes, were bound and thrown into the blazing furnace. The king's command was so urgent and the furnace so hot that the flames of the fire killed the soldiers who took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Can I turn up the heat? Now, can you imagine just going to work like these people did and was like, all right, I need you to throw these 3 guys in the furnace. I'm like, I bet, I've done this before. Wait a minute. It's 7 times hotter? Is that safe? I mean, you said do it. You said you were going to kill us if we didn't worship the statue, so I'm going to just throw them in here. Burnt, dead, all right? You just a normal day. You just want to go to work. But anyway, and these 3 men, firmly tied, fell into the blazing furnace. Then King Nebuchadnezzar leaped to his feet in amazement. Oh, my gosh. And asked his advisors, weren't there 3 men that were tied up and threw into the fire? They replied, certainly, your majesty. Another suck up. He said, look, I see 4 men walking around in the fire, unbound and unharmed, and the 4th looks like a son of the gods. Who knows what the son of the gods look like? Jesus, that's right. So it's needless to say, or it's obvious, that the heat got turned up in these 3 men's lives, right? But how many of you know, like I know, that even when the heat is turned up in your life, God will always be in the fire with you? No matter how hot it is, no matter if it's 7 times hotter, no matter if it's 70 times hotter, no matter if it's 7,000 times hotter, God will be there with you. So how hot do you think it gets when you're living with the family and you don't feel like you quite fit in that family, right? I mean, I ain't trying to call you out, but just think about that. How many of you all had that kind of heat in your life? How hot do you think it gets when you feel inadequate or worthless and you don't quite make the grades that you think you should be making or like everyone else around you is making? How hot does it get when you know you're doing something that you're not supposed to and you go to confess it to a friend or even your parents and you're like, my mom, my dad, I know they love me. They're going to accept me for however I am. And they're like, Mom, Dad, I got to share something with you. And they look at you like no matter what they're going through, no matter if it's divorce, no matter if it's anxiety, depression, they look at you like you're the biggest disappointment that they've ever had in their life. How many of you know how hot it gets when the heat's turned up because you may or may not know your father? He may or may not be present. And you're looking for just someone to fill that void in your life. How hot does it get when, if we're just being real, you're really insecure about your sexuality, whether it's watching porn, whether it's looking at stuff that should be porn but it's not, and you're just watching it, or when you're doing the rubbernecking in the hallway at school, or you Instagram stalking with your thumbs. How hot is it really? But listen, no matter how hot it gets, no matter what the situation is, don't you know that sometimes God has to allow the heat to get turned up in your life so he can melt you down like that gold and pour you into and form you into the image that he created you to be all along? Sometimes you're living in a situation with a lot of impurities where the only way you can get from it is to be forced out of it, for it to be burned out of you. It says in Psalm 139, but you saw me with your own eyes, my body being formed. Even before I was born, you had written in your book everything that I would do. So if you're walking on a course that doesn't align with everything he created you to be, he's going to turn up the heat in your life. Don't you realize sometimes you have to go through hell to get to heaven like he did? So don't worry that the heat gets turned up in your life. Because maybe God is trying to form you and create you into what he intended you to be all along. All right? Last part of this, diamonds. Remember the diamond? 2 billion? How many people know how like a diamond is made? All right. Let's find out how a diamond's made.
How are diamonds made? Naturally occurring diamonds formed deep in the earth between 1 billion and 3 billion years ago, and geologists say the recipe went something like this. Step 1. Bury carbon dioxide in Earth's mantle, about 100 miles underground. Step 2. Apply heat to around 2,200 degrees Fahrenheit. Step 3. Add incredible pressure, about 725,000 pounds per square inch. And finally, step 4. Quickly rush towards Earth's surface to cool. How diamonds are made, just one of life's little mysteries.
So you had the bare CO2. You know we are like carbon-based, so carbon dioxide, all right. I'm a science nerd, remember that. Then you have to apply pressure, apply heat, and then you have to put it under extreme amounts of pressure. So the third point is sometimes you have to go through a little pressure in your life. I'm going to give y'all another little testimony. How many of you guys' lives look like this, all right? The pressure of this cross, like we all heard the story, even if you like only go to church every Easter, you hear this at least once a year. So in my life, as like the story I told you earlier, I did a lot of things for myself, for my own gain, for my own selfish ambition. So when I retired from football, I went to my childhood dream to be a doctor. Whew. Some pressure right there. And as I pursued that over the next 6 years of my life, there's a lot of things I sacrificed, but it wasn't what God called me to sacrifice. So over those 6 years, I barely spent any time with my family. The guy who came home was not the person who I was at work. I was driven. I was determined to become a doctor. The weight of that pressure forced me to be someone who I wasn't. I wasn't a father who God wanted me to be, and I definitely wasn't a husband who God wanted me to be. But during that process, it was this friend, I had a friend by the name of Paul. And Paul couldn't handle the pressure that was going on in his life. And so as I thought about everything Paul was going through, I was thinking, man, maybe I don't have what it takes to be a doctor. Maybe I don't have what it takes to impress everyone around me. Maybe I don't have the strength to do this on my own. Maybe I'm just a failure. Maybe I am unworthy. Maybe I can't do this. And so a few of you know this story, but under the weight of all that pressure, I found myself carrying my own cross. And it got to a point where I got to a bridge and I said, Lord, I can't take it anymore. I was succumbing to the pressure. So I let the pressure get to the point where I was about to jump off a bridge and commit suicide. And as I laid there, as I stood there rather, thinking about how I was going to end it, thinking about, well, I'm a good guy now. This is how I'll be remembered. I just broke down. And I finally came back to the place where I heard about so many times. Like the song said, why do I keep running in circles where there's no better place to meet than in your arms, Jesus. And obviously I'm here, so you know the story didn't end there. But what does that pressure look like in your life as you're holding your own cross? What does it look like when you have stepmom or stepdad at home and the words, they say they love you, but you know it's really not the same? How does it look when everyone expects you to go to college, but you don't know if that's what's in your heart to do? How does the pressure of being the cool kid in school get too much and you just say, I just can't take it anymore? But I'm here to tell you right now, you were never meant to carry this cross. The burden, the pressure of this cross was already carried for you. So we see in Matthew chapter 27 that Jesus was left alone. He asked 3 people, can you just keep watch for me while I pray? It didn't happen. How many of you all feel alone in your lives? Jesus, while getting ready to prepare to carry the weight of our cross, was betrayed. How many times are we betrayed? How many times are the people that kiss us on the cheek like Judas did go back and stab us in the back? Then Jesus was ridiculed. Said, if you're the king, save yourself. So he was lied about. He was lied on. When in the trial, it said, I find no fault with this man. Why should I kill him? And they said, crucify him. He carried that cross for you. How many times do your so-called friends lie on you? How many times you try to be the best friend that you think you can be, but it's not reciprocated? Then after he was lied on, he was bullied. How many of y'all have to go through that in your lives? Not even in school. How many times are you show up to the Capitol knowing that you need some change in your life, and you see people going here, but when you walk through the door, you hear, what are you doing here? After he was bullied, he was beaten. I don't know what some of you guys are going through. Maybe someone put their hands on you. Maybe you're afraid to talk about it. And we all know the end. After he was beaten, he was hung on this cross. And hanging on this cross, he took every burden that you can even imagine bearing. He took every hurt that you could ever feel. He took every sense of inadequacy and told you that you are precious because you are my creation. On that cross, he carried the pressure of telling you that you're not good enough, to telling you that you're not enough. On that cross, he took the pressure of saying, I'm your father. It doesn't matter who's not in your home because you have a heavenly Father that's always beside you, whether it's in your house, whether it's in school, whether it's on your way to the Capitol. He carried the pressure of the cross to let you know that you are his masterpiece. You are created in his image. You were created to do great things in his name. So I don't know if you were like I was, in the place where I heard the word so many times, but kept reverting back to this insecure me of not being enough, until I just came to my knees and said, Lord, I can't bear this pressure any longer. I want to take my life, but I know you have something better for me. Lord, you say your yoke is light and your burdens are few. So Lord, why do I feel so burdened right now? Why do I feel the weight of the world on my shoulders right now? Why do I keep hearing the stories that you say in your word, but keep trying to do it on my own strength like David, Heavenly Father? Why do I not feel like I'm enough? Why do I not feel like I'm loved? And their answer is, I took it all for you. I hung on the cross for you. I never intended you to carry that weight. I never intended you to hold that pressure. Because you weren't created to hold it. I was. You weren't created to bear it. I was. He took human form to show you that he can do it. And through him, you can too. So I don't know what you're going through right now. I don't know if you're at a moment where you just feel like you can't take it anymore. So right now, every head bowed, every eye closed. As the band comes back out, I just want you to think about what pressures you have in your life right now. What are the things that are too steamy for you to handle on your own right now? What are the heats that are too hard for you to handle right now? It's just too hot in your life. What are the pressures that you're carrying right now that you just want to have that weight lifted off your shoulders? And as we sit there and we reflect on these things, I'm going to have all the leaders come to the front, and along the side there, they're going to be made available for you. And just take a moment to reflect and think about the things that you need to surrender. Think about the things that you need to pin on the cross that Jesus hung on for you. And say, Lord, I can't do it. I can't. I've been running in circles for so long, trying to do it on my own. But Lord, no matter what I do to find happiness on my own, I know it's only you that can bring me joy. So Lord, in your arms is where I want to be. So right now, as you're thinking about those things, if you need a word or affirmation of your life, the leaders are up here. You can go ahead and disperse to them. And just tell them whatever's on your heart. Tell them whatever it is that you internally just surrender to God. And go and let them speak life into you. Because Jesus died so we could have life and have it more abundantly. So if you're ready to live that abundant life, lay it at the altar. Because that was the sacrifice of all sacrifices. It's not going to be a hard dismissal. So as the band starts singing, find a leader, whoever you're comfortable with, and just surrender it to Christ. I love each and every one of you. I do. And if I made a decision to take my life those years ago, I would never be here to share my testimony with you and tell you that there's a way out. And that way out is surrender. Because all the pressure that you have, the lower that it drives you, the closer it gets you to Christ. So the lower you get, the higher you can go. Thank you all.